Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last place closing ceremony. My name is Michael Kelly, and joining us this evening from the Royal Australian Navy is Commander Paul Mogger. We welcome the visitors, the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors and students on behalf of the following schools: Thornley Christian College from Southern River, Western Australia, and St Mary's Anglican Girls' School at Carrignop, Western Australia. Can I ask you to please stand and join in singing the national anthem? Students, you may be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations over more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths of floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we pay tribute to Flight Sergeant George Edward Davis. Born on the family farm at Talawi, South Australia, on the 22nd of May 1924, George Davis was the son of Stacey Algernon Davis and Jane Eliza Davis. Davis was educated at Talawi School and later Peary High School, and then worked on the family farm. Before he was 18, he begged his parents to allow him to enlist. On the 27th of May 1943, just a few days after he turned 19, Davis enlisted in the Royal Australian Air Force and began training as a wireless operator and air gunner. After his initial training in Australia, Davis embarked for overseas service. As part of the Empire Air Training Scheme, he was one of almost 27,500 Royal Australian Air Force pilots, navigators, wireless operators, gunners and engineers who, throughout the course of the war, joined Royal Air Force squadrons or Australian squadrons based in Britain. After his arrival in Britain, Davis undertook further specialist training before he was posted in late February 1945 to No. 12 Squadron, Royal Air Force. As part of the Royal Air Force's Bomber Command, No. 12 Squadron was equipped with 4-engined Avro Lancaster heavy bombers. On the night of the 3rd of March 1945, the Lancaster, in which Davis was the wireless operator and air gunner, was undertaking a training flight and was shot down by an enemy intruder near Stockworth, Lincolnshire. Davis and all 6 of his fellow crewmates were killed. They were fellow Australians, Flight Sergeants Ronald Horstman, Walter Pridmore, Alan Cryer, Alexander Weston, and British crewmates Pilot Officer Arthur Thomas and Flight Sergeant Thomas McCaffrey. The bodies of the crew were recovered from the crash, and Davis and his Australian crewmates are buried side by side in the RAF plot at Cambridge City Cemetery. Davis was just 20 years old. He had been with the squadron for less than a week. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, with amongst some 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Flight Sergeant George Edward Davis, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Students, could I ask you to please stand?
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over, but in Australia, they'll be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. Thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today.